was weird. Not what we're used to here in the Mile High, not during the playoffs. For only the second time in the last 2 years, the Nuggets lose a home playoff game. 106-99. The Minnesota Timberwolves do all the right things down the stretch, knock off the Nuggets. Welcome to the Toyota Locker Room Report. Vic Lombardi, Bill Hanzik, and Chris Dempsey. I think the biggest concern, obviously a slow start never helps, but that's what they've done this entire postseason. But the Nuggets were only down 3 with about 3:18 to play, and it was Minnesota who made all the clutch plays down the stretch. Usually that's Denver.
Well, they really did. I mean, the fourth quarter, you felt comfortable because Joker was coming back in. But Naj Reid was the difference maker for Minnesota. And the Nuggets defense, tremendous in the first half. Second half, way too many drive-bys. 66 points. Michael Malone will talk about that. Yeah, just not good enough.
Yeah, no, I mean, shots made of all kinds by the Minnesota Timberwolves in that second half. And obviously Anthony Edwards is right in squarely in the middle of those things. We knew this was going to be tough. Like we said, this is a tough team. This basketball team is, this Minnesota Timberwolves team is as good as they come. And one of the reasons why, maybe the main reason why, is Anthony Edwards. He was the one making the plays in the fourth quarter. It's funny because in the pregame we talked about how well the Nuggets had done against him in a couple of the fourth quarters during the regular season games. Well, he heard that as well. He turned that up, got super aggressive, and the Nuggets could not stop him.
Well, one thing we've learned firsthand, Ant-Man is a bad man. I mean, this guy came in, futures in your hands presented by Ball Corporation. The ball was in his hands during crunch time. It was in his hands early in the game. He goes 17 of 29, 43 points. And that little turnaround jumper, I don't know if anybody can stop it, guys.
He's so physical. He's so powerful.
I don't think Anthony Edwards, I don't think he was uncomfortable, but I think the Nuggets did a representative job with a lot of good defenders. He's just that good a basketball player. It'll be interesting to see how they wall him off in game 2, what that game plan looks like. But when he gets the jumper rolling, I promise you this numbers will always be this high. And you know, it's his performance swings are usually just if the jumper is going down for him at a high rate, and it was today.
Yeah, I guess only Jamal Murray would know the answer to this, but it just didn't look like he had that spring in his step. Didn't have that energy to lift off on many occasions. And Nikola Jokic forced to do most of the heavy lifting in this game. He came close to another triple-double. He was faced with the prospects of Rudy Gobert on one side, Karl Anthony Towns on the other. Then they deliver Naz Reid off the bench, still finishes with 32 points on 11 of 25 shooting. That's not a Nikola Jokic.
Were you know, one of those stats where he finished with 8, but like he got some late to get to that number, and he just wasn't as impactful on the boards as he usually is, especially on the offensive glass. And that's where Minnesota understands he can't get those 2 and 3 tip offensive possessions where he's rolling the rebound stats up and really impacting them offensively. They didn't let him have that almost at all.
Fellas, I thought the other big development in this game, and you think it's a good thing when a guy gets into foul trouble, an opposing player, Karl Anthony Towns gets his 5th. He has to go to the bench. Enter Naz, and he scores 14 of his 16 in the fourth quarter, including a bank shot 3, which was just a backbreaker.
Yeah, the Nuggets did a great job. First half, he had the goose egg. He had the donut, and they rely on him, and he totally swung the game with those threes, the bank. Sometimes you get it going, and you throw it up, it goes in, and Naj Reid had one of the...
That first half, the shooting percentages were super low for both teams, and in particular, nobody was making shots outside of Anthony Edwards for Minnesota. That second half, everything changed, and it was to the detriment of the Nuggets.
It never feels good to lose. Certainly doesn't feel good to lose at home. How do you feel? Let's take a look at our altitude chat brought to you by the Colorado Toyota for the postgame show. Brett Kane, my radio partner. Yes, it was a dogfight early. Dogs going back and forth. It is sad. Joey?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the issue really is here is that this was always going to be a tough series. And a good game by the T-Wolves here. On to the next game, man of the future. Yeah, you know, if you thought the Nuggets were going to win in anything fewer than 7 games, and then you were banking on they were going onto the road and winning in Minnesota anyway, and so now they're going to have to just do that out of necessity. But this is a basketball team that has done this repeatedly, been good on the road.
And don't forget, Nugget Nation, the Nuggets in 2 years have not lost 2 in a row.
Not going to lie to you. When they overcame that 18-4 deficit early, and they took the lead at the end of 1, and they led at halftime, I thought this was their day. Turned out, Scooter, one thing I've noticed about the makeup of the T-Wolves, and that's Tim Connolly that pulled all the strings on this. When the Nuggets struggled against the Lakers in the Western Finals a few years back, the Lakers went with that big front court. That's exactly the model the T-Wolves are using in this series.
Yeah, I told Kaz on the radio that start you mentioned a while ago, 18-4. That looked exactly like the last 3 games against the Lakers, in the sense that they got up into Chile, got real physical, and tried to take the ball out of Joker's hand as soon and as quick as they could. And that's going to work. And until they make them pay for that offensively, that they're going to still kind of keep doing that. This is a better team than the Lakers. And coming back or holding leads are going to be a lot tougher. But a new record, I don't know if it's a record, but this year when the Nuggets have scored under 100, they are 0-9 now. So I know they gave up some defense in that second half, but offensively, I didn't think they were clearly anywhere they need to be to win game 2.
Do you have any retort to that, Bill Hanzik? Because he says it was all about the lack of offense.
Well, I mean, he's right, because you could get away probably with the Minnesota end up with 106.
Yeah.
You know, 106. You got to figure the Nuggets are going to be 108, 110, and they just and a big part of that, Jamal had 0 in the first half. You're not going to see that. Yeah, you responded in the second half, but that lead, you started off so poorly. You dug back, you used a lot of energy, and at the end of the day, you ran out of a little gas late in the game.
Hey, did Jamal look right to you, Scotty, from your vantage point?
Well, once again, they got bigger guys. They're going to put him on him. They started with Edwards on him, who just got real super physical with him early. And, yeah, he looks a little slower than he did, say, a month and a half ago with his legs. I thought he got him back under a little bit. Problem is, it was a little bit of a teeter-totter. Porter was great in that first half shooting the basketball. Murray, I mean, he was scoreless at halftime. And then all of a sudden Jamal got it going, and Michael gets 2 points in the second half, or 4 points, and made 1 field goal. And again, and this is now 6 games in the postseason, they've really not, as a team, collectively shot the ball. But let's be honest also, the difference in the game was Naz Reid. I mean, Naz Reid had that 13-point straight run for Minnesota in that fourth quarter, and that was the ball game right there. Their bench outscores Denver's bench by 8. You lose by 8 or lose by 7. But they just got to find answers. Listen, you got to be ready for the physicality early. You got to answer it. I thought when Denver got in trouble, when the offense got clammed up a little bit, they weren't playing downhill. Denver's offense has to be downhill, has to be at the rim, has to get into the paint. I think they only had, through the first 8 minutes of the first quarter, they had 4 points in the paint. They didn't have many points anyway, but they got to be downhill, get into the paint. And if Rudy's going to block shot, good. Let Rudy block shots. Joker had 2 turnovers where I thought Rudy made great plays on that lob to Aaron Gordon. Joker's just got to shoot that. I don't care if he misses it or not. I think they got to make Joker score. And then now when Rudy starts playing that shot more, now maybe he can dish it off.
Yeah. Adjustments will be made. Thank you very much, Scott Hastings. He mentioned the bench play. You know, Reggie Jackson carried the Nuggets bench. He scored all 9 of the Nuggets bench points in the first half. And then in the fourth quarter, Christian Brown made a corner 3 that tied the game with 5 minutes to play.
84 up.
Yes. And then after that, let me tell you what happened. 5:56 to play. After that, Naz Reid 3, the bank 3.
Bank 3.
Naz Reid layup. Naz Reid 3 again. It was the Naz Reid show after that three-pointer by Christian Brown. He's right. He was the difference tonight. Let's go downstairs. Our Advent Healthcare coaches' comments presented by Advent Health.